talk with us in advance of Kansas. But William, before we get started with questions, really quick, a couple of great sponsorship announcements coming from your team. Tell us a little bit about those and kind of what that means to not only Hendrick Motorsports, but to you as well.
Yeah, we're really excited. Got a lot of momentum, on the partnership side. So yeah, excited to have Raptor on the car this weekend for Kansas. It's a company that's Exalta is familiar with, and I think the paint scheme looks really cool. And you can go to raptortough.com to learn more about that. And then the Liberty news as well was awesome, and just really thankful to get to know those guys over the years, and Dr. Prevost and his kind of leadership over the last year or so. So it's been nice to get to know Dr. Prevost, and they're doing a lot of great things up there, and got a chance to see Coach Freeze and see the football team play, I guess, 2 weeks ago. So it's pretty cool up there, and it's been a good couple weeks.
All right, we're now going to go to questions for William. If you have a question, feel free to raise your hand. We're going to get to as many questions as we can. To kick us off, we're going to go to Bob Pockris. Go ahead, Bob.
Yeah, William, some people don't like green cars, and but I don't know, that might be considered olive, so I don't know exactly what color that is, but I was curious if you just ever had any sort of superstitions like that as far as color of the car.
Yeah, I think I've always green cars have always been touchy for me, but if they look good, then it doesn't matter to me. But yeah, I've actually won a couple races with kind of a green car back in Xfinity with Exalta in their industrial paint scheme. So I'm not worried about it. So but Rudy's a little superstitious, so I'm sure he'll have to get over it.
And there's been a lot of chatter this week about how non-playoff drivers race playoff drivers. And I'm curious, in your situation, would it be any more difficult to race Chase for a win versus Kyle Larson for a win?
I think it all depends on the point situation. I mean, typically if a guy's racing for a win, they're having a really good day. So, they're getting a lot of stage points and they're up front. So that's kind of, throughout that race last week, I mean, my team never told me where Kyle was in points and all that, but knowing before the race that he has a bunch of bonus points, and then knowing throughout the race that he got a bunch of stage points, I wasn't super worried about, his point situation, but I didn't want to obviously get in a wreck with him. So we just raced hard and clean, and, just race smart. But, I want to win, and my team wants to win. So I'm not going to do anything to sacrifice that, and I just have to be aware of the situation. Thank you.
All right, our next question is going to come from Rob. Go ahead, Rob.
Thanks, Amanda. Morning, William. Good to see you again. Got a couple of questions for you. Now, at Texas, we noticed a lot of great speed out of the 24 car and a lot of race-winning capability from you and your team. So how encouraged are you to know that you're here to stay for good and show that you're still capable of winning races?
I think that, for us over the course of this year, there's been a lot of good, aspects. And then there's been some aspects that have been disappointing, but I think all the key ingredients that it takes to win races is there, and it's been there. We won the third race of the year. So I think, we're very capable. It's just about us putting together all the details to be successful. And, I think we've had a shot to win, multiple races this year at different times. So yeah, it's, I think we've got all the good properties of a race team that it takes to win races. Texas was a good example of that. And hopefully we have another shot to win this weekend.
I got to ask you, having been with Hendrick for the last 4 years, what has Hendrick Motorsports given to you that has enriched your life, not only professionally, but personally?
Yeah, I think the more time that I spend there, the more I love being there. I think, I've really kind of grown into it being a home for me. When I started there, I felt a little bit uncomfortable. Felt like the place was bigger than me, you know, and hard to really kind of fit in. And as I go and I, you know, kind of surround myself with people that have the same desires and interests and think the same way, I think we just get more and more comfortable. So yeah, it's been a great year, and you know, I feel like I'm just very comfortable in that environment.
For sure. Well, best of luck this weekend, William.
Thank you.
All right, our next question is going to come from Dustin Long. Go ahead, Dustin.
Thank you, William. Got a few things here for you. I wanted to ask you, first off, you know, in that the playoff driver, non-playoff driver discussion, I'm just curious, did you get a sense that anybody raced you or that you were raced a little bit differently this past weekend because you weren't in title contention, even though you had a race winning car? Did you see a difference, or because of your situation suddenly changing, or not?
You know, I really don't think so. I think those situations have to be very clear cut for someone to race differently. And, you know, I was thinking about that throughout the race and some of the cautions, and just, you know, as a race car driver, you've got a certain mindset, a certain way that you think as you go throughout the race. And it's very hard to just kind of change that on the fly. And so you don't really alter your whole strategy. But if it's a clear cut situation where a playoff guy, like I wouldn't wreck one of them, you know, especially. I think that's kind of the biggest thing for me, is kind of trying not to wreck one. And, but I didn't feel like anyone raced me different or that I raced them differently. But it is, you know, you see the yellow spoilers, you kind of know who you're around and things like that. So I think you're just kind of aware of those guys and what they're trying to do.
You second week in a row, you had contact from the 8 car, and I know at the Roval you walked down and talked to Tyler, and he told you what happened, and I know you said after the race you were glad that he told you what happened, how you viewed it. 2 races in a row now having contact. Was there any more reason to have any more communication with Tyler, or is there a growing frustration because something's happening 2 weeks in a row to you?
No, I don't think I'm very frustrated. I think I would have been very frustrated if the tire didn't stay up, because that's kind of been the way our season's been with flat tires. But no, I think you know, it just was, you know, a situation where it was a misjudgment, you know, and that's a couple of those. But I think that's just something you kind of, you know, keep in mind when you're racing. But yeah, no, I just you know, I still don't think it's anything malicious, but it is another kind of misjudgment.
And this weekend with Kansas, with the extra lanes that you guys can run, what those restarts are like, it seems like obviously restarts are crazy at a lot of places, but it seems like maybe even more so at this place. How do you describe restarts, and what's it like, whether you're at the front or a few rows back, and just the chaos, what seems to be chaos?
Yeah, they're very difficult. You know, I think when I first started out in my career in the Cup Series, Kansas restarts were probably the nemesis for me. So I think that's become better over time. You know, we've gotten better at predicting, you know, where those guys are going to be, and using our mirrors and using, you know, our spotter to kind of help those conditions. But yeah, it's tough. I mean, a lot of times you can't always win the restart at Kansas. You have to just minimize the loss. So, you know, especially if you're on the front row, you look at you know, we have all these retention rates and everything, and you look at the retention of the front row, and it's not very high. So, you just have to know that going in. You know that it's going to be a challenge to hold the lead or to be second. Unlike Texas, where, you know, it's a very narrow track and you can get a good push and get out front. This place will be a lot different on restarts.
So one other thing then is what's kind of one of the key things you had to learn about a restart at Kansas? I mean, I understand with the restart, you've got to get on the gas right. You don't spin the tires. It's that timing right. But what more are the skills, what more are the things that you had to do, whether it's watching mirrors more or just being aware of, like, you know, what's potentially going on a lane or two outside? Can you give me a sense of what you had to do with the Kansas restarts?
Yes. I mean, I think the biggest thing with the 550 races is getting linked up to your push if you're the leader. So you've got to do things, whether you drag the brake or you roll into the throttle slow, you've got to make sure that that guy's linked up to your bumper to push you, because if not, there's not enough horsepower for you to just drive away. Unless you're in first gear or you have different ratios or something. So, that's watching the mirror, that's listening to my spotter, him count down when that guy's getting to my bumper. So I'm always kind of looking up and seeing him and seeing how close he's getting to me. And then, if you're not the leader, then it's all about side drafting appropriately in the right spot. Getting through the gears is important, especially if you're not the leader, to make sure you're not, losing any momentum. And then, just protecting kind of your right rear or your left rear based on, what lane you're in to make sure somebody doesn't put you 3 wide.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we have a follow-up from Bob Pockris. Go ahead, Bob.
Yeah, William, with the Liberty extension announced, they still haven't announced, Hendrick still hasn't announced an extension for you yourself. You're signed through next year. Is that something that you guys are currently, I assume something that you're currently working on, but just wanted to check, like, are you close? Then would you expect something before the start of next year?
Yeah, I think that, when the time comes, we'll work on it. And I love being at Hendrick Motorsports and don't see anything, different there. And, the way we're running and everything, it's been great. So, when the time comes, I'm sure we'll work on it. And I'm not very concerned about it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, any final questions for William? All right, that looks to be all the questions. William, thanks again for joining us. We really appreciate it.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
All right.